Namaste and welcome to Shiva Sai Mandir and Tridevi Chamunda Mandir in Denver, Colorado. This is Yamajit, and thank you so very much for joining me again for Navaratri Day 4. Tonight we're going to honor the fourth of the great wisdom goddesses, the Mahavidya Bhuvaneshwari, the Great Mother. Quick announcement, I just want to remind everybody that Day 5 and Day 6, that is tomorrow, Saturday, the day after Sunday, our pujas and satsangs will be at noon, and then we'll go back to 6 p.m. Starting on Monday. So again, welcome, and namaste, including Kim and Elizabeth who've tuned in right now, and namaste to anyone who will be joining us who's currently online, or anyone watching the recordings. And if you are online right now, please feel free to say hello using the chat function on the bottom of the screen. Tonight, during our meditation, I'll be sharing another reading from this book, Kali the Mother by Sister Nivedita, and chapter 3, two saints connected to Ma Kali. I'm actually going to split that into two parts. So this will be the first part, and we'll be discussing a little bit the life of Sri Ramprasad. And by the way, anybody who is interested in Ramprasad's poetry, there's this book, Visions of the Goddess and the Tantric Hymns of Enlightenment by Lex Hickson. I'm actually going to close tonight by reading a short poem from this book. So let's just go ahead and go into the satsang for Ma Bhuvaneshwari, who you see pictured on the Divine Mother's seat. Bhuvaneshwari, the Great Mother. Bhuvaneshwari in Sanskrit means the creator of the world. Goddess Bhuvaneshwari embodies the physical cosmos and is considered to give shape and creation to the world. She is regarded by many as the supreme goddess who creates everything and destroys all unnecessary evils in the world. She is also the mother goddess Kali's nurturing and healing mother goddess aspect. She is known as Om Shakti or Adi Shakti, the goddess of primordial power. And it is believed that she is so powerful that even the Navagrahas, the 9 planets, cannot stop her from doing anything that she wishes to do. She too is dressed in red, the color of Shakti power, like Lalita. She holds a goad and a noose in two of her 4 hands, and the other 2 display the mudras of dispelling fear and giving boons. She has close associations with the heart chakra and the life force in general. She therefore can be called upon in matters of health and healing. Ma Bhuvaneshwari represents the stage in our spiritual development where we begin to realize the divine presence existing within ourselves, in addition to our external surroundings. So in Bhuvaneshwari, so in our spiritual work, we first find the divine in the external. Bhuvaneshwari represents the stage where we find her within. Jai Ma Bhuvaneshwari.
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 So I invite you now to take a comfortable seated position where you can look upon your screen with a relaxed gaze, looking upon the image of Bhuvaneshwari. I'm going to bring just a little bit closer. So she holds the elephant goad and the coil of rope or noose. So just like Sudashi, Lalita, Tripura Sundari last night, it is the powers of the divine that move us, sometimes pulling us, sometimes pushing us in the right direction. And that coil of rope also represents the binding of ignorance. her red sari, red Shakti power, the feminine force driving the universe. And she is enthroned upon that same lotus of purity and wisdom. When we meditate upon the lotus, think of the water lily growing out of the muck and the mud at the bottom of a pool, growing upwards toward the sun and coming to full bloom on the surface of the water. And that is like our own spiritual development. And namaste to Robert, who just joined. So I invite you to sit comfortably, breathe deeply. Letting go of the cares of things that have happened, things that need to happen. Focusing your awareness just on this present moment. And sensing that Divine Mother's presence both within and without. And silently connecting with whichever form of the Divine Feminine you're closest to. And again, thinking about your personal intentions for this Navaratri season. That thing in your life or somebody close to you in need of healing or transformation or resolution. Finding that guidance you need, perhaps. And once again, acknowledge that you're taking yet another important step toward that healing, toward that resolution, toward receiving that guidance. And then slowly bringing the palms of your hands together at your heart center. Let's begin tonight's practice by chanting the seed syllable for Ma Bhuvaneshwari, the syllable Hrim. And Hrim is really the vibration of the Divine Mother in all of her aspects. In Shakta, that is goddess-centered Hinduism, Hrim is like Om. Inhale, Hrim. Another inhalation. One more inhalation. Pavitra Pavitrova Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yashmade Pandarikaksham Sabhyabhyanta Sushi Om Shuklam Bharanam Vishnum Sashivanam Shutovijam Prasnavanandayat Savadigno Prasantaye. Jai Ganesha.
Jai Ganesha.
Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshvara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Guru Ve Namaha. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.
Om Trayambakam Yajamaye Sagandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Bandhanan Machur Mukshyam Amrita. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Devi Prapanote Hare Prasida Prasida Matara Jagata Kilasya Prasida Vishve Svarate Vishvam Tvameshwara Devi Chachara Charasya Jema Devi.
Jema Devi.
Om Naranye Vidmaye Bhuvaneshwari Dhimai Tano Devi Prachodayat. Jema Bhuvaneshwari Devi.
Jema Bhuvaneshwari Devi.
So I invite you to join us in our puja mantra, Om Hrim Namaha. 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 Rise and breathe deeply as we continue the mantra. Om Hrim. Om Hrim. Om Hrim Namaha. 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 deeply and listen to the words of tonight's reading from the book Kali the Mother. Tonight, the first part of chapter 3, Two Saints of Kali. This is but another word for interpretation. We feel the very presence of some persons as if it were the translation of poems from a foreign tongue. Every profound truth awaits for life that shall be its voice. And when that is found, it comes within the reach of multitudes to whom it would have remained inaccessible. But we cannot find the truth in a word unless it is illuminated by our own experience, that statement, which we have lived but have not spoken, even to ourselves when uttered by another's lips. We hail as revelation, and that alone. What we have ourselves once said seems commonplace, and that which is too far above we do not understand. So it happens that the interpreter, the poet, must be forever telling to the world those things of which it has already won heart knowledge. This is the sign that we demand always from the messenger, that we speak of a common memory, and to him who does this, we listen gladly, believing that life will yet bring the significance of those words of his that do not, for the nonce, explain themselves to us. Highest of all the poets stands the saint. His task is not to take the brilliant patches of love and sorrow and heroism and fit them into jeweled settings for the admiration of many. He takes the whole of life, all the gray, somber stuff of which it is chiefly made, and the blackest and the brightest. With this, he throws on the whole new light till, even in the eyes of those who suffer it, life is made beautiful. The dramatist deals only with the dramatic motives, but to him, all is dramatic. The petty needs of childhood are no less related to this world heart than the passion by which Othello slays Desdemona. But that new tune to which he sets the old song of living has to be caught in the snatches from people, a note here and a cadence there, the mother crooning her babe to rest, or wailing beside it in its long sleep, the man panting for his adversary, or finding himself inadequate to the protection of those he loves, the peasant guiding the plow with patient strength, the child folk playing in the sunlight, all these have whispered him in the air and taught him the whole of their mystic lore. It is not then the voice of the prophet, but the great heart of the vulgar that brings new religious institutions to birth, all the violence and gesticulation that repel us, but are the dim, experimental utterance of an impulse not fully conscious in itself. It is when the idea has been elaborated in this way, by the imagination and conscience of the myriads, that there arises a man who seems to embody it in his own person, and is hailed as master and teacher by all, because he interprets their own lives and speaks the words that already they are struggling to express. He is the crest of the wave, but all these are the wave itself. Born thus into his nation's life, speaking straight to its heart was Ram Prasad, the great Bengali poet of the motherhood of God. Not a century has passed since a crowd stood by him by the Ganges side, listening to his recital of his own finest work. As he pronounced the last words, the old man exclaimed, "It is achieved." And on that moment, he died. It is not death, it was translation, and the people feel that it happened yesterday. He had begun life as a bookkeeper and no doubt tried to be remembered them, to perform his duties faithfully, but when at the end of the week his employer called for his books, he found on the first page a sonnet beginning, "Mother, make me thine accountant. I shall never prove a defaulter," and verses scribbled all over the accounts. Oh, one cry, "Mother, mother," "Ma, ma," rang through every line, and as the Hindu does not live who cannot understand a religious freak, his genius was recognized at once. A small pension was settled on him, and he was set free from wage earning for the remainder of his life. The result is a collection of folk songs full of sentiment of Kali worship, left to the memories of his people. Many, it is to be feared, remain about the villages of Bengal, unrecorded to this day, but they are so integral to the part of life that there is good reason to trust that they will never truly be lost. In after days, Ram Prasad became famous, drifting down the Ganges. One summer day, in his little boat, encountered the royal barge of Suraja Daula, the brilliant young governor of Bengal, and he was ordered to come on board and sing. The poet tuned his veena and racked his brain for songs of the grand old classic style, fine enough to suit the presents, but the Mohammedan would have none of them. "Sing me your own songs about the mother," he commanded graciously, and his subject was only too glad to obey. No flattery could touch the nature so unapproachable as its simplicity. For in these writings we have perhaps the lone literature, the spectacle of the great poet, whose genius is spent in realizing the emotions of a child. William Blake, in his own poetry, strikes the note to the nearest, and Blake is by no means his peer. Robert Burns, in his splendid indifference to rank, and Whitman, in his glorification of common things, have points of kinship with him, but to such a radiant white heart of childlikeness, it would be impossible to find a perfect counterpart. His years do nothing to spoil this quality. They only serve to give him self-confidence and poise. Like a child, he is now grave, now gay, sometimes petulant, sometimes despairing, but in the child, all this is purposeless. In Ram Prasad, there is a deep intensity of purpose. Every sentence he has uttered is designed to sing the glory of his divine mother. For all its simplicity, however, our author is not to be understood without an effort, nor need this surprise us. It takes the whole history of Rome and Florence to make the Divina Commedia comprehensible. In fact, we can never understand any poet without some knowledge of the culture that produced him, and what is true of Dante may be expected to prove still more applicable to one who is removed from us by oceans and continents, as well as the complex civilizing centuries. Indeed, it may be questioned whether the apparent artlessness of the Oriental expression is not always somewhat misleading. Into 4 lines of landscape, we are told, the Chino-Japanese can slip the whole story of his national existence without ever a European suspecting double purpose, and much the same in the case of the Hindu. The wealth of such associations goes, for instance, to the appreciation of the great line describing the mountain forests against the snow. They make the eternal sati on the body of Mahadev. What is said of the Japanese artist is preeminently true of Ram Prasad, only it is in the broken toys and April shower and sunshine of a child's moods that he hides in the mysteries of the universe. Apart from his passion of devotion to the divine motherhood, there is a whole conception of life in his mind which is unfamiliar to us. The East takes such an utterance as, "The pure in heart shall see the divine." Very literally, it places the ideal existence not in salvation or in the condition of being delivered from sinfulness, but in the very power of direct perception of the divine. It seems to the Asiatic mind that the body is an actual hindrance to cognition. It is not that meaning is conveyed by language, but the mind is drawn near the mind. In unskilled speech, words may strive only to conceal thought, but in most skilled they cannot do more than suggest it. Nerves do not create suffering, for the joy and sorrow that we share in imagination can be far keener than our own. And to this convention, the sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, under which we become aware, the not self is merely a formula which deadens the real from us till we are strong enough to bear it. And we must stay in the body or return to it till we have in some way mastered these conditions. When the limitation is broken, however, when every dim stratum and substratum of our being has become conscious, it is the whole consciousness is gathered up into a single tremendous act of knowledge, not to be conventionalized, formulated awareness of the senses, but directly absolute knowledge. What it is claimed that we perceive, that which came before many, as seeing and hearing and the rest, is known now to be one, and that one, divinity. And so it happens, the great goal of Eastern religion is known as mukti, or nirvana, or freedom. The man to whom this perception is perfected is liberated from conditions. He may be subject himself to them at will, but he is not bound by them. He has left the sleep of ignorance behind him and, forever awake, Prasad. From the land where there is no night, and night and day are now nothing to me. Ritual worship has become forever barren. My sleep is broken. Shall I sleep any more? Call it what you will. I am awake. Hush. I have given back sleep unto him whose it was. Sleep have I put to sleep forever. The music has entered the instruments, and of that mode I have learned a song. Ah, the music is playing ever before me, for concentration is the great teacher thereof. Prasad speaks, understand, O soul, these words of wisdom. End of quote. But the great burden of his verses is the mother, and calling upon her to become the ideal child. It is curious to reflect how a century and a half ago, almost 100 years before the birth of childhood into European art, and great Indian singer and saint should have been deep in observation of the little ones, studying them and sharing every feeling almost without knowing it himself. Once indeed he seems to justify himself, quote, "For else should I cry to mother? The baby cries for its mother alone, and I am not the son of such, that I should call any woman my mother. Though the mother beat him, the child cries, O mother, and clings still tighter to her garment. True, I cannot see thee, yet I am not a lost child. I still cry, mother, mother, ma, ma." End of quote. But indignant pride gives way to secret despair, mingled with angry impatience. The divine must be dead. No living mother could so long resist a baby's cries. He will hold a funeral in effigy and retire from the world forever. Quote, "Mind, stop calling mother, mother. Don't you know she is dead? Else, why should she not come? I am going to the banks of the Ganges to burn the grass image of my mother, and then I'll go and live in Benares." End quote. When the question of his going on pilgrimage, however, a serious, mooted, he makes the reply of wonderful beauty and profundity, naughty as he does, not to want to go, and unwilling to support himself with reasons. Doubts lead to doubts, and a frown culminates in a supreme defiance. Quote, "Why should I go to Benares, Varanasi? My mother's lotus feet are millions and millions of holy places. The books say, man dying in Benares attains nirvana. I believe it. Shiva has said it. But the root of all devotion and freedom is her slave. What good is there, even in nirvana, mixing water with water? I see I do not care to become sugar. I want to eat the sugar." End of quote. What a flash is there in those last two lines. The shrewd mother wit of a peasant joins in the insight of the great poet, not only to express the finest of fine emotions, the joy of being the inferior, but the hint in the same words, the secret existence. Quaint beyond quaintness is the song of the kite flying. To the child's mind, it is quite natural that its mother should play with its toys. All mothers do. And now Kali becomes the playmate. Her toy is the Indian kite, to which the string is covered with powdered glass, that it may cut through others. But the boy forgets his game and so completely in it that he fascinates him. He breaks away and looks upon the grave joy at her, while his lips involuntarily frame a song. It is the game of life that is played before him. The kite released is the soul gone to freedom, and still the mother laughs and plays on, as if one knew not that all these were shadows. In the marketplace of this world, the mother sits flying her kite. In 100,000, she cuts the string of one or two, and then the kite soars up into the infinite. Oh, how she laughs and claps her hands. And again, he is making a mystery out of nothing, playing hide and seek as babies love to do. The name of her whom I call my mother, Shall I tell that secret to the world? He says. Shall I break the pot before the market? Even then, who knows her? Lo, the 6 philosophies were not able to find out. Kali. That is the only smile in which he ceases to be a child, when he abjures himself to dive deep, O soul, taking the name Kali into the ocean of beauty, from which he is to bring the lustrous pearl. Jema. 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 Bhuvaneshwari Devi Namaha.
Should we light our candles?
Om Sarvamangala Mangaye Shiva Svada Sadike Saranye Trambake Devi Ayane Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Om. Jai Ganesha,
Jai Ganesh,
Jai Ganesha.
Jai Guru,
Jai Guru,
Om Namah Shivaya,
Om Namah Shivaya,
Jai Ma Devi,
Jai Ma Devi,
Jai Ma Kali,
Jai
Jai
Ma
Ma
Kali,
Kali.
Jai Ma Bhuvaneshwari,
Jai Ma Bhuvaneshwari,
Jai Mata Di,
Jai Ma.
Jai Mata Di,
Jai Mata Di,
Jai Mata Di,
Jai Mata Di.
Jai Ma. So I invite you now to take a deep and clearing breath, letting go of the meditation, bringing your awareness back to your personal space. And slowly bringing the palms of your hands together at your heart center. Again, focusing on your heart, feeling that Divine Mother's presence, and knowing she is there to guide you, to heal you, to teach you. And slowly opening your eyes. Namaste. Blessings always. Thank you so very much for joining me. And Jai Ma. Jai Ma. Jai Ma. So I'd like to close with a short poem from Ramprasad. What gift can I offer you? O Mother of Infinity, what gift can I offer you? Plunging deep into meditation, I perceive all lives and worlds are yours alone. Why should your lovers present you with necklaces and gems and garments of silk? The universe is boundless, open of jewels, and humbly touches your feet. The blackness between stars, your only covering, you are the mountain of inexhaustible abundance. You reign over the golden city of truth, compared with your divine wealth. Even the Absolute appears as a wandering beggar clothed only in open space. Contemplating my elusive mother, this poet is overwhelmed with ecstasy and inquires again and again, who is she? Who is she? At her uncrossed threshold of mystery, the creator and the preserver of the universe stands in awe and supplication. Jai Ma,
Jai Ma,
Jai Ma,
Jai Ma,
Jai Ma Bhuvaneshwari Namaha,
Jai Ma Bhuvaneshwari,
AUM Hrim Namaha,
Om Hrim
Jai Ma. So thank you so very much for joining me. Including Robert, thank you, and Elizabeth and Kim, and anyone else tuning in, either now or later. I thank Channing and Jane, who are also here in person. I look forward to you joining me again for our next installment. We'll be honoring Ma Bhairavi, goddess of the cremation ground, and we'll share the second part of the chapter on two saints of Ma Kali. We'll be honoring the great Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great priest of the Dakshineshwar temple in Calcutta. So until then, have a wonderful night and thank you, and Jai Ma. Good night.